the sitting arrangement, I would like to address this as I'm sitting, same way as Honorable Zitto Kabwe sitting and our moderator there. So I would like to thank you once again for attending this special occasion. This is our 14th book review session. And each time we introduce this, we have more and more clients who want to attend. The Resource Center itself has already more than 800 active members. When I say active members, those are the ones who are actively coming to borrow books and they're using the Resource Center. We have so many others who are inactive. We're trying to revive them somehow, but it takes a lot of work. Last year I was in the US, and then the main discussion, I was in a workshop in which the main discussion was, how do we take the mobile phones away from people? And there were a lot of CEOs meeting, discussing, and HR personnel discussing the means to take away mobile phones so that people can become productive. Mobile phones, as good as they are, and other gadgets that we have, they have created a lot of trouble in the world. People do not read anymore. We spend so much time. They say for almost 1 hour an employee is at work, about half of that is spent on a mobile phone. And every time you go out of that arrangement, you go to a mobile phone, it takes you about 10 minutes to just trying to understand what you are looking at, what you are doing. So it takes you time to restart again the process and say, okay, I was writing an essay, and I was talking about the economic inflation, but now what was I doing? And then it takes you time again to try to come back again. So there's so much time wasted on mobile phones, and it make most of us unable to read. We don't read anymore because there's so much entertainment, there's so much excitement. I had a friend who was complaining about, he's a teacher, saying that a student was crying for his mobile phone. Imagine a student coming to school and then they're crying, they want your mobile phone, they're crying, literally crying. So we have so much trouble. So when you see a group like this of people who want to read, who are willing to read, we really see this as an important, and we are the ones who can be champions to make others read also. 2 weeks ago, I was at the VP's home, and he had a number of books on top of his table. He was reading about artificial intelligence. Actually, he had about 5 books about artificial intelligence. And then I say, you are a vice president. Why do you need this for? He says, where we are going to be left behind, because usually Africa waits until others are somewhere. Then we say, oh, they are there. Then we come back behind, and it's too late most of the times. But we need to improve the habits of reading. So, Mheshimiwa, we thank you very much. You are a good member of this resource center, and every time Mheshimiwa Zitto Kabwe visits our resource center, the next day we recruit more customers. And anytime we post his visitation, anyone who has a high level, high profile personnel, when they visit us, the next day we enroll more clients. So it's a good thing for us. And we encourage you to use the resource center, not to come here to get the AC. Right now it's too hot outside. Sometimes someone walks out there in the street and they find it's too hot. They say, I'm a member of resource center. Let me go and sit there and cool down a little bit and then go. So we thank very much in Mr. Makani for taking chair to moderators this afternoon. We hope you will enjoy this, but we'll hope that, how many of you read the book before they came here? Just to see. There we have some, we have online copies too. Online copies. But well, the book itself is very technical when you see it, and it's very technical. I was reading the book and some of the pages I had to skip because they're very, very technical. But we believe that Mheshimiwa Kabwe Zitto Kabwe is going to make it easier for us. Is going to chew for us and make the language very simple for a layman like some of us to understand. what it is all about. Thank you very much, and I welcome you all. I pass you to the MC.
So before we start, on a very light note, and I would like to pick up from where he ended. I'm currently reading a very small book called Hooked. And the book says, again, on the use of mobile phones in the US, 75% of the adult population, adults PG, that age, yeah, are ready to give up sex over giving up their mobile phones. That is how serious this thing is, yeah? But that's just a lighter note to just say, to pick up from where the CEO has ended. And a very good afternoon to you all. We're going to review a book called China's Economic Miracle. Does FDI matter? Foreign direct investment. And totally, just to add up to what the CEO has said, for me, it's really to thank Honorable Zitto Kabwe for having read the entire book back and forth. Yeah, I have the soft copy, I have the hard copy, but I barely could get a moment to basically go through even chapter 1 of the book. But at least I have Siri, who happened to give me a summary of the book. So I'm going so much to bank on the knowledge that Honorable Zitto Kabwe has had. I'm happy and delighted. He's put up a summary, which will be available at the resource website, I believe. And for all of us who have not had the opportunity to go through this fantastic book to review it. So Zitto Kabwe, Honorable, before we proceed on to deep diving into the book, the FTI, I'm sure everyone here, young and old, all due respect, would like to know, yeah? Besides knowing Zitto, Honorable Zitto Kabwe as a member of political party, who is Zitto Kabwe?
A father.
That one.
A husband.
You want to use that?
A football fan.
Which team?
Liverpool, Simba, Taifa Stars. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And you've said a father, and how many children do you have? And any of your children following suits from what you're doing?
I don't think if any of them will go into politics.
Okay.
Because they have seen how politics takes me away from the family. So I haven't seen any. I don't know.
Do you have any moment in life that you regret because you've been a politician, or because of you being a politician?
Yeah, several times. I've been away from home most of the times, and makes me feel sometimes like, let me slow a bit and spend more time. Now, not only with the family, what we call the nucleus family, but the broader family. As you know, Africans, the family doesn't just mean you and wife and kids. It means the uncles, the aunties, and everybody. And missing that time of visiting them, talking to them, handling issues, is really stressing sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, on a very lighter note, Honorable Zitto Kabwe, many young people admire, the audacity and the guts that you have to challenge the status quo, to challenge the system, to challenge the authority, which is too bold. So basically, a bit of your background that has shaped you to what you are today, and then we go on to the book.
My mother, I was born by a disabled woman, and from a very poor background, coming from a region that has been hugely underdeveloped for a very long time. And so my mother brought me up to fight, to struggle, to bridge ceilings. And I think that has been a big inspiration for me.
Excellent. And in terms of your educational background, does anything matter to what you are?
Yeah, I went to our normal primary schools then, was when education was education then. Yeah. Yeah. So the time that in a village or in a street, out of 1,000 or 500 kids finishing standard 7, only few of you maybe a dozen are selected to secondary school. And then you go to O levels, then A levels, then university. I remember a speech by our former Vice Chancellor, Luhanga, when we went to University of Dar in 1999, when I was in first year. And he told us that you are just 0.3% of all who started primary school together. So you can imagine, then it was really a privilege. So I studied economics here, and then went to Germany to study economics, international trade, and later international investments. And maybe that's why it was easier for me to read the book, because it's really technical, but we have summarized it. Yeah.
Excellent, Honorable Zitto Kabwe. China's economic miracle, does FDI matter? We are ready and very eager to get the review you've had, and then we'll go back onto a few questions that I had, and then we'll open the questions to the audience. You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you so much. I wrote a summary, just 3 pages, around 700 words, of a highly technical book. It's not food for everyone. It has a lot of econometrics analysis, regression, time series data and analysis, but also it has very good narration of the data. So if you ignore the formulas and the models and you just read the narration, you get not just the glimpse, but the whole book and the whole idea. FDI, foreign direct investment, has been a big debate here in Tanzania, in sub-Saharan Africa, in the global south. And basically, it has been a big debate because of the lack of enough savings.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone going to university studying economics, macroeconomics, one of the first formulas he or she faces is the growth formula, the national income formula. Yeah, with consumption by the households, investments by firms, spending by government, export and imports. So the most relevant in that formula here is the investment side. And we are told that, and it has been proven empirically, savings equals to investment. The amount of savings that an economy has equals to the total investment that the economy does. Because if you earn 10 shillings, you spend the whole of it, you remain there. But if you earn 10 shillings, you spend 6, you save 4, it means this 4 can be able to do the investment. So if it's a collection for the whole economy, you have enough resources for investments. But in countries like ours, which was the same problem with China up to 1977, 78, there was very, very low level of savings. Savings GDP ratio was so low, as it is here in Tanzania, is extremely, extremely low. So you have to fill the gap. How do you fill that gap? You have to go to other people's savings. That other people's savings is the FDI. So if there was a time UK was the #1 investor in Tanzania, the UK companies, it means we're using the British savings to invest here, to bridge the gap. So that's the basics of the FDI. So China was coming out of the Cultural Revolution. Mao passed away. Deng took over. And there was a lot of need for foreign exchange in order for them to import machineries to develop the economy. The country was closed. The policies of Mao were very isolationist. So they did not have enough forex to buy equipment, to buy technology. But also they needed to address the problem that was happening in the border with Hong Kong. Currently, many people speak about Guangzhou. Then the Guangdong province was so poor. Younger Chinese, and especially young men, not many women, young men, used to cross the border to go to Hong Kong for a good life. And it became a security problem. Chinese government was putting barbed wires, electrical fences to stop the young men crossing to Hong Kong. As we see now, young Africans crossing to Europe, the Mediterranean. It was like that in China in 1970s. So Deng visited Guangdong province in 1979. He got briefed. He was just taking power back. As you know, Deng was isolated as well. So when he came back, he took power, consolidating power. So he visited this area. And actually, by then, the head of the province of Guangdong was the father of the current president of China. And they spoke about this problem. We have this, and he said, this is not a security problem. This is an economic problem. We have to find a way of keeping these young people here. And for it, they have to get an economic opportunity. So they started to open some trials, and China is so famous of this. They just don't do a major policy implementation before experimenting it. So they started to experiment in a few provinces, I think only 3, including the famous Shenzhen as a town, Fujian province and Guangdong province. So they started to open, and they started to allow foreign direct investment. By that time, China was not able to export any meaningful thing because there was no factories to export, to manufacture goods for export. And they had very little foreign exchange as well. And for those who are old enough, like they who were here then, you remember when they were building Tazara, they did not really bring money. They had to bring machineries, and some machineries to be done here because they were as poor as we were then. So this book looks at between 1978 and 2005, how the FDI, after the Chinese opening the economy, impacted on the growth of China. And now it is an open knowledge that this is the time that China grew so fast than any other time. Growth rate was double digits. The flow of foreign direct investments, and mostly from nearby Asian countries, led by Japan mostly, and later Europe and the US. From the book, you'll see the FDI per year getting into China increased from $4.3 billion in 1978 when they started opening, all the way to more than $150 billion. In totality, in the period between 1978 and 2002, more than $600 billion was pumped into China. And as a result, China became #1 exporter in the world because most of the largest chunk of the FDI flow was in manufacturing sector. Manufacturing was #1. It took a huge chunk, almost 2/3 of the FDI. Then real estate and public utilities. China started these investment into, for example, public roads. They allowed private sector to build roads, and you pay for the road. And public utilities was #3 in the amount of FDI that got into China. So apart from that, from the book, we see that the opening created interest of people to go and see China. So as a result, tourism also increased massively. And there is a whole chapter in the book, I think chapter 5, that covers on the link between FDI and tourism. Because the moment there is an interest of people visiting the country, it means that country has to promote a building of hotels, building of the conference facilities, of course, like the building we are having here, which was built by China. Anyways, it was a grant from China. And the infrastructure to tourist attractions and the likes. So tourism became another sector growing so fast because of the impact of the foreign direct investment in other sectors as well. But they have summarized a number of the positive and negative impact of the FDI in China. But I've just noted 3 areas on why, and this is the question that many people are asked, even for our countries, why people can bring capital into a country, regardless of the risks. So the number 1 factor for China was cheap labor. It was easier to get cheap labor. Japan was already becoming a maturing economy. Labor was becoming very expensive. So it was easier for the Japanese companies to make manufacture things in China, although they'll be made in China, but they are Japanese things. It's like we carry our mobile phones, iPhones, we think that they're American phones, but they're all manufactured in China. So it was the same. So low labor cost was a number 1 driver. But also it increased the quality because of the technology transfer, the skills of the laborers increased, and it has impacted the local economy. One of the arguments many people give when they speak about foreign direct investment is the worry that the locals, wazawa, are not given opportunity, and the opportunity is given to the foreigners. Right. But the study from this book shows otherwise, that the FDI had an impact into the local economy. It helped the locals to also participate in the economic activities of China. And there is huge statistical evidence to show that FDI helped the local economy to grow as well. And the last analytical result that I think is very important to be shared was the income inequality. So the above 2, the labor and technology transfer and the impact to the local economy are positive. But the study found the coastal towns, the coastal provinces of China had people with higher levels of income than the inland provinces. And they even suggested some of the policies that have to be formulated by the Chinese government in order to bridge this gap of the income inequality. So the biggest negative impact that the book has shown through evidence, through the scientific evidence, is that although FDI helped China to grow fast, poverty was alleviated with historical achievements, huge. More than 400 people were uplifted from poverty in just 1 decade. It had never happened in the world, any part of the world. But the income inequality increased massively. The gap between those who have more income and those who had very little or basic income was very, very high. And the book has suggested what can be done by the Chinese government in order to address that. After 2005, 2006, 2007, the miracle started to go down because the economy had reached the peak. So China now doesn't enjoy the double-digit growth. It is growing at the levels of 6, 7, 5%. So it's not really, the economy is not really firing up. But if you compare that with other developing countries like ours, we have never experienced double-digit growth. So that means our economy is still at the very low level. And if we do things right, if we address the critical sectors that can spur that growth, we can reach that level. And maybe we'll be able to get the historical achievements in terms of poverty elevation that China got. I think I'll end up here for the moment. And if there are any questions, and as you said, I've prepared the summary, and it can be put online for you to read about the book. I've just summarized the whole book without any formula, without any economic formula, in three pages. Yeah, thank you so much.
A round of applause. Thank you so much. I was lucky. I did economics for my A levels, and then I dropped it there. But I was hoping to hear demand and supply, and I'm sure many of us thought we would hear demand and supply. But Honorable Zitto, interest of time, and I'm sure the audience here has lots of questions as well. One of the critical points why those against the FDI speak of, which you did not mention, and glad we had tete-a-tete before we came here, is the fact that when you bring in an investor from abroad, there's what we refer to as a capital outflow. So whatever I invest in a foreign country, anything that I accrue goes back into my country. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And you've not mentioned that. Is that a myth or it's a reality?
You have capital inflows and capital outflow. It's just like export and import.
But FDI in particular.
Yeah, because FDI itself is a capital inflow.
Mm-hmm.
It helps a country to build its capital stock.
Right.
So it's a capital inflow from abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And the repatriation, whether of profits or whatever they make, will be the capital outflow. Right. So you have to look at the net. What is more?
Mm-hmm.
Is the inflow or the outflow? It's a similar situation to export and imports.
I totally agree with you here 100%. I want us to be more pragmatic and looking onto what the miracle in China in relation to the situation in Tanzania. I'll give you all the room. Looking onto the investment that is put, for instance, you spoke a lot during your tenure in the parliament. For instance, in the extractive industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they bring in machinery to extract the minerals in Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
Vis-a-vis what the companies that are doing the extraction earn from the minerals that they extract in Tanzania. Can you compare that with that example you provide?
The biggest advantage that China had was the sector that attracted more FDI was manufacturing sector. And manufacturing sector has a big multiplier effect. So people were employed massively. The technology transfer is real. The skills of people get improved. We had a disadvantage, and our biggest disadvantage is the sector that attracted a massive FDI in the country on the last, I think, 15 years was mining. And mining is not production. Mining is extraction. You don't produce.
That's correct.
You extract. So what we lacked, and this is the thing that I spent most of my time in parliament to fight for, and at times it was successful because people started to understand that we did not have proper policies for forward and backward linkages. Okay, you mine, but the process to mine has a big link with other sectors of the economy. There was time here in Tanzania, mining companies were buying eggs from Brazil, tomato from South Africa. You had the Sukumas in Geita selling their cattle to Kenya, and the cow is slaughtered there, processed well, and mining companies are buying from Kenya.
Right.
Because we did not prepare the local economy for the kind of investment that was coming. And this is one of the thing I said before, that China doesn't implement any major policy without experimenting it. They are so good on experimentation. So you have a policy, you experiment, you see the gaps, you address the gap, then you do it nationally. We did not do that, and it costed us a lot. Because not only that, we did not have forward and backward linkages in order to retain most of the profits here. Also, we gave away a lot through incentives. We gave them all the tax deductions, all the tax incentives. So they were making super normal profits, but it's because we were inexperienced. I remember there was a day I went to lecture at National Defense College, and I was explaining to them the same way I'm explaining here, the mistakes that we did. And one brigadier general asked me, "Do you think this was by design or just a mistake?" And I was like, "What do you want to do?" But it was a mistake.
Right.
It was a mistake. And we addressed them. Nowadays, we'll not hear any mine buying tomato from South Africa or eggs from Brazil. We will never hear that because already the capacity of communities around the mines have been built and are able to supply the quality that is needed.
In fact, I must add something to that and comment that you've mentioned that. I'm happy that even the current Minister for Planning and Investment is pursuing similar interests, that if you come in with a license of, for instance, manufacturing, we've had people that are doing manufacturing in Tanzania, but they also do lots of other things to support their manufacturing line. So now they're just going to be restricted to strictly the license that they've acquired for. If it's manufacturing, stick to that. Let Tanzanians supply you any other thing that you require to, which is very good. I'll ask two more questions, Honorable Zitto, and then we'll open the floor for questions. Question one, back in 1961, when we gained our political independence, and I underscore political independence, we had similar, more or less equal GDP with countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, etc. And looking onto the scale now, where they are and where we are, I wouldn't call it heaven and hell, but we are far-fetched from each other. Honorable Zitto, in your personal opinion, from reading and digging and experience as a policymaker then, where do you think we took the wrong turn as a country?
We decided to be poor.
It was a decision.
Yeah.
A choice.
I believe that we decided to be the way we are because people who are leading these countries in the Southeast Asia, for example, were colleagues with to our leaders. They went to same universities. Some of them met in Cambridge or in Oxford or wherever, because as they fought for independence, we're fighting for independence as well. there was the famous non-aligned movement after the Indonesian meeting in 1956. A very famous meeting of the comrades and the likes. You mentioned Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, which was just a fishing village. South Korea, of course, South Korea is different because they got massive investment from the US because of stopping the North Korea into taking over. So sometimes we don't, in analysis, we don't bring in South Korea into the picture because of that factor, as the way Germans were helped supported through the Marshall Plan. But China, 1979, per capita income was similar to us. Similar, completely. 1979. Vietnam, it was similar to us. And Vietnam had a war. We did not have a big war. The Vietnamese fought the Americans, fought the French, fought the Chinese. All big nations went to fight against Vietnam. But today you cannot compare. So I say we chose because we did not invest in sectors that matter. China, today we are talking about the FDI and how it helped. But if you read, even in the book, and you read other books as well, you see the role that agricultural sector played in the development of China, because majority of their people were dependent on agriculture, just like us. Vietnam, the same. Look at levels of, let's say, just coffee export from Vietnam in early 80s, and compared to Tanzania, we are exporting more coffee than them. And today, look at the data, completely different. We are like nowhere. Or rice production. Vietnam, up to 1995, was a net importer of rice. Today, they're the net exporter of rice. They're exporting a lot. And many, many other sectors, because they formulated policy which have a direct impact to their people, uplifting the lives of their people. So it's a matter of policy. That's why I said we chose. We tried. I'm not saying that our founding leaders did not try. They did. We failed. We did not try again. So but now we say, okay, fine. Let the FDI come. FDI can come. They'll extract, as you said. But if you don't have proper policies that addresses the key fundamental problems that we have, we'll remain like this.
And my final question, just on the very statement that you've ended, Honorable Zitto. One of the statements you made in the parliament, I would not say it exactly the way you said it, but I'm mesmerized by it, and every time I contemplate on it, you said we should spend in relation to what we collect. Our expenditure should match or should be less than the revenues we accrue as a country. Was this, Honorable Zitto Kabwe, a political statement, or it was a pragmatic, based on research statement?
No, it's common sense. Because if you spend more than what you earn, it means you have to bridge that gap. And bridging that gap means borrowing, either being given grants or the likes, or borrowing. Yeah. If you spend less than what you earn, it means you save. And you use the savings to invest, to build your capacity to produce more.
But again, by the time you're making that statement, Honorable Zitto Kabwe, we already had a gap of more than 200 or 300 trillion, if I remember very well, in terms of how much we spend as an economy and how much we collect as revenues. Now, how is this pragmatic? How is this practical?
First of all, and it's one of the lessons that we learned from the book about the FDI, is our savings GDP ratio, that the measure of how much the economy saves, is really, really low. With the size of our economy, the rate of growth of our economy, we must be able at least to save 25% of what we produce or what we earn.
Okay.
Our saving GDP ratio now is 16%. 16%. So you have that gap that we have to promote investments and get the capital from other savers to come to your country. So when I said that, it was in relation to the government expenditure.
Right.
Yeah. The government revenues and expenditures. And I think there was a book here in Chimbi. I don't know where he is now. Before deciding to review this one about the Chinese experience on FDI, we wanted to review that book about the fiscal policy, the government spending and government expenditure, the levels of debt, how sustainable debts can be, how much you can give as the amount of loans that the country can take and be able to manage. Because also that's an area that many African countries, especially countries south of Sahara, are failing to manage properly. Because once the debt is big, you end up using your own hard-earned revenue to service it.
Right.
And you don't invest into the sector that matters, especially productive related sectors.
Interesting. We'll pause now, asking him questions. So, first and foremost, let's give him another huge round of applause. And thanks to once again to Uongozi Institute for really bringing GEM in the room. So thank you so much. So the floor is open now. We'll take 3 questions and then we'll react to them. You want to probably grasp. And then we'll take, yeah. And we have some questions from the online. So we'll take 3 from the audience and 2 3 other from online. So we have 4 here. So I'll take these 4 and then I'll come this side. Yeah, let's start with this, sir.
Honorable Zitto Kabwe, I've heard of your statement many years ago, and I hope you remember one day I wrote an article on philosophy of Kabwe in Tanzania. Hope you remember it. That statement and what you are saying now, that those times they were going into details of what is remaining in the country, what is going out of the country, who is benefiting, who is not benefiting. There, we have investments. And these investments are not linked anywhere. The forward linkage is outside and the backward linkage is also outside. I hope you might have read long ago, Professor Mr. Andrew Coulson wrote blood-sucking contracts.
Yeah.
So we have that problem today. We also have to look into China is a big population. It's an extremely big market. They can produce very cheaply because everything will be bought. We need to have a different economy because we are a smaller population. We need different type of economy. We possibly at present, we may not start with big investment, but plus the small population who was on the footpath was still fighting for the living, and the middle investors. We need them more than we need big investors. I'm not saying that we don't need them at all, but we need them more. I've been working with United Nations. I have been working in many different countries on economy. I know at one time I was in Yemen. The investors will go to the north part where at that time Houthi and they were fighting. And Houthi will kidnap her or fight, take them out. So they could not invest. But we said, okay, let's start with small mining. So local people would mine, the things will stop. And I think there was more money. You know, one good thing with a government development is that accumulation is as good as distribution to the people, where the people benefit out of it.
Right.
When the people don't benefit out of it, then there is no need to go into the other economy because people have not enjoyed it. That's what I'm saying. There is a difference between the need and the price. So we need to have to supply the need first. Okay. So we need the infrastructure. We don't have that much infrastructure for the investment. All those investment who come here, their forward and backward linkage is outside this country.
Yeah.
With little touching here and there, we don't mind. And every time we announce in the newspaper 30 investment, 40 investment, I don't see the benefit of these investors. You see, I don't see it. You look at the population, they're moving around on the street. They don't know what they will eat in the evening. You know, that is our situation.
Right.
The poor people.
So let's go straight onto the, I think I've grasped that the infrastructure for investment is not sufficient or is not. So you want, Honorable Zitto, you're making a statement.
Linkages. We need to plan.
I will
We
explain.
need to think. We used to have 5-year plan, annual plan. What do we decide? If I'm a normal economist, what do I do? I mean, where is the country going? I don't know.
Right.
Because there is no information. Without information, without statistics, you cannot progress forward.
Right.
I think there are many things to say, but thank you for and I've come to that. What you said that time is different from what you said now.
I will explain.
Thank you so much. Kindly pass the mic to the gentleman behind you, and thank you very much. You've grasped.
I got it.
Okay, excellent. Please, let's keep it short so everyone has the opportunity to ask questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Having 5 questions, but use them. I'll let use them. I'll let use them.
Let's go take
Okay,
two.
thank you.
Yeah. Let's take two. Let's take two because we'll give you another chance. No problem.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. My name is Moffat Mapunda, mwananchi wa kawaida.
And by the way, thank you so much for mentioning mwananchi wa kawaida. Feel free to ask your question in Kiswahili, yeah? Okay? Thank you.
Yes. Okay. I wanted to know which type of political system was China using before and now.
Okay.
And the second question is about the type of education system. Were they using the type of education system like we are using the Western type, or were they using another education system?
Thank you so much. Brilliant questions. Please pass the mic to the gentleman behind you. You had raised your hand. Yeah, pass it. Yeah, then it's coming to you.
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Mvula, and I have 2 questions.
Right.
That FDI in Tanzania is mainly attracted into the extraction industry. So what's the situation now? But also I know our laws allows expatriation of profit by 100% of the profit. And then we want to diversify. We think of diversifying the FDI into other sectors. Can regulating the profit expatriation be a solution so that these people can reinvest in other sectors? And the last is, you have said that China was involved in wars, and we Tanzanians, we didn't. But is it time, Vietnam, is it time now we take stock of our involvement in Liberation Front wars in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Angola, Mozambique, Uganda, and now we are involved greatly in our Great Lakes region? Does that affect us, or it affected us? Thank you.
Brilliant questions. Thank you very much. You know, when you said, is it about time? I was like, this gentleman is calling for war in Dar. Please, let's proceed.
Asante, mimi naitwa Clay, nitauliza kwa Kiswahili. Mheshimiwa Zitto, umezungumza habari ya sera kwa sababu kwa Tanzania mining industry ndio top earner wa FDIs. Mimi ni mwanasheria, kwenye engo hiyo nitaangazia sera kwa uchache. Tunazo kwa vipindi tofauti tumekuwa tukifanya marekebisho ya kisheria na ya kisera ili hizi FDI zinapoingia tuzikamate. Serikali imekuwa ikitunga sheria, kampuni ikija wachukue hisa 16%, kudhibiti hizi repatriation, pambana na transfer mispricing, ili kwa kila namna hii hela inayokuja ibaki hapa. Tumezungumza extraction. Sasa hivi kuna sheria na vifungu vinasema tuwe tuna refineries za ndani. Kila kampuni inayokuja kuwekeza inapewa leseni ya kuchimba, leseni ya kurefine. Na tunakwenda kwenye era ya critical minerals ambako demand ya mineral inakuwa kubwa, hasa hizo critical minerals kwa ajili ya technology na ku address climate crisis in the future. Kwa hiyo tunazungumza miaka 2040, 2050, demand itakuwa ni kubwa. Kwa hiyo tunaposhindwa ni wapi with all these policies in place. Nitatoa mfano mmoja mwisho. Wakati tunaandaa dira ya 2025 late 90s, the plan kwenye mining hapa kwa attract more FDI kufikia 2025 sekta ichangia 10% ya GDP. Hatujafikia 25, ila serikali inatuambia hilo lengo limeshafikiwa tayari. Kwa hiyo ni kama vile tuliplani tukafanikiwa, na sasa hivi tunaplani tena, lakini in actual sense mimi na tunakaa mtaani, haya mafanikio hayapo. Where exactly tunashindwa? Asante.
Okay. Brilliant question. So we'll come back. I've seen two hands. Can I have the mic back? Let's give Honorable Zitto Kabwe time to react to these 4 questions, and we'll take another set of 4 questions, okay? But we'll come to this side, and then we'll come back to this side, and this side, and then we'll close.
Should I use this?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Quality of the voice.
Yeah,
Na
asante.
maswali. So our viewers,
Yeah.
those following us online, I have picked 2 questions I will ask on the next round.
Yeah.
Karibu.
So I'll start with Mzee hapa. Regarding the then and now. First of all, we agree, it's a general agreement that when we started attracting FDI into the mining sector, especially the extractive sector, we did not prepare ourselves. And there was very, very low linkages. And that's why then the discussion about forward and backward linkages was a big discussion. And for us, we're criticizing the policies, the mining policies then. That was one of the big issue we're raising. And I remember I used to raise one example, very vivid. We allowed the mines to build their mines in areas which are very remote, for example, Kahama, Geita. The national grid was not there. So they had to produce their own electricity. In order for them to produce their electricity, they had to import diesel. For them to be able to import diesel in a competitive way so that they lower the cost of production, you have to give them incentives not to pay taxes on that diesel that is imported. At one time, I think I gave, and I think it was in Parliament or in one of the rallies, an example of how much we are losing every month from just one mine that was spending almost $60 million every year to produce power. And we give them incentives. Today, as we're speaking, all the mines are connected with the national grid. And so all the money that was being used to import the diesel and the incentives that we are giving them are no longer existing because TANESCO is producing them with electricity. So this is one of the things that has changed as far as the forward and backward linkages are concerned. We still have a lot because there are a lot of supplies into the mines. Anyone who just takes some time and look at the value chain in the mining sector, you still see a lot of gaps. And the major reason why people are not even feeling the resources that have been found in their areas was because we did not prepare our people. We knew that we are giving a license to a mine, let's say in Kahama. We knew that they are going to employ more than 1,000 people. We knew that these people are going to eat. You can calculate how many eggs they'll need a day, how many chicken or kilos of meat. But we did not care about that. So these are where the mistakes. And I'm happy some of the things have been addressed. If you go today to Geita, it's not the same Geita of the last 10 years. If you go today to Kahama, it's not the same Kahama of the last 10 years. We should have done more, and we need to do more, because there are areas where they will still continue to mine, and the new mines are coming up. A young man at the back spoke about the critical minerals coming up. We just signed huge contract with companies to mine nickel and having a smelter in Kahama. So we need to learn from these mistakes. Our biggest problem is we don't learn from the mistakes. We keep repeating the same kind of mistakes. And the best way to benefit from the FDI into sectors like mining is to ensure most of the resource remain here during the construction and even after the construction. And we might end up making the same mistake with the LNG. LNG is the next biggest investment that is going to come to our country. The construction alone is massive. A lot of money will be put in. Sometimes I always give an example of the amount of cocoa that will be needed to build the LNG in Lindi is worth $260 million, just cocoa. We must not make the mistake that Mozambique did. Mozambique was importing cocoa from Argentina. It can happen here if we are not prepared. So the issue here is to prepare ourselves and use from the experience of the Chinese, experiment. Once something works, then do it in a big way.
Right.
Just don't do one big thing So there are benefits, but we should have more and more benefits. We cannot say that is 0, 0, 0, 0, no.
Right. Political systems.
Yeah, I'm going to there. The Chinese political system is the same. The only difference is that after Mao, the new leaders who came after Mao opened up the economy. So from the economic front, China is really, really a capitalist country. But from the political front, it is still a socialist country. On Emmanuel, yes, FDI in Tanzania used to be, it used to be on extractive. Katikati hapa, it changed. There are more in other sectors of the economy. Tourism picked up at one point. It might go back to extractive with the LNG, because LNG is a single big investment, or the nickel in Kabanga. But as I said before, I hope we have learned from the past mistakes. And regulating profit expropriation, if you have a good study on the value chain, and you ensure that the majority of the money remains here, maximum amount of money remains here, and other sectors of the economy get the boost from that, you'll not need that regulation. But if it continues the way it is, we might need that regulation, regulating the profit expropriation, because no investor will come if you say you'll not be able to take up your capital. No investor will come.
Of course.
Yeah. But if the capital is just a normal return of 10%, 11%, 15%, it's okay, so long as 85% remains here and is invested in other sectors of the economy.
The final one.
I don't think we should take stock on our liberation. Of course, we gave we supported the liberation. We did not support because we wanted to benefit economically. We supported because it is a matter of principle. So if it happens again today, Mozambique and the Portuguese, we must go there to remove them not because we'll benefit economically, but because it is a matter of principle. No single African country should be under any colonial rule, whether we get money or we don't get money. And this is a big debate. Tanzanians are like, we gave support to South Africa, we gave support to Mozambique, but we did not get anything. And I think we did not go there in order to get anything.
No, I think
we went there because of the principle.
Yeah, support, brotherhood, and everything, Ubuntu and all that. But probably if I got the question correct, is there a relationship between countries' turnover and the warfare?
A study has to be done. That is, you cannot respond to that question without evidence. A study has to be done because we might say, let's fight, maybe we'll, maybe no. I think there must be evidence, evidence to that.
All right.
It doesn't mean that Vietnam developed because they fought. No, Malaysia did not fight.
Right.
Yeah, Malaysia was under colonial rule just like us. Brutal colonial rule from Japan. Yeah, but
the response.
it has developed.
The
final question. Yeah. We developed the 5 year Vision 2025, and we have the 5 years development plan since 2011. When we have the annual plans, they should how are they being implemented? So we had the target of mining contributing 10% to GDP. We haven't yet achieved that. I think we are around 8% now. We argue that we have achieved the goals of 5 years development plan by being in the lower middle income economy. But the Vision 2025 set the target of the per capita income at $3,000. We are at 1,200 at max, because it's 1,100 and something, you know. So yes, we have gone into the bracket of the lower middle income economy, but far below the target that was set by the Vision 2025. And I think it will be a big mistake if we write the new vision just as a continuation of the previous vision. I think we have to write the new vision from the scratch, because so many things have changed. So many things have changed. The structure of our economy has completely changed. The structure of the economy that we had in the year 2000, where agriculture contributed more than 50% of the GDP, is not the structure we have today. Today, agriculture contributes only 26% of GDP. Then mining had no significance. Tourism had no significance. Today, our largest foreign exchange earners are these two, tourism and mining. Then the IT was not well developed. Today, as the CEO spoke here, the vice president is reading books about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Things have completely changed. So the people who are involved in writing the new vision should take this into consideration. It should not be the continuation of the previous vision. They have to take stock, how far we have gone, areas that we have achieved the goals, areas that were not even in the vision, but they came up. Because new sectors in the economy has gone up. The entertainment sector, it was non-existent then. It was there, but it was not even on record. But now it contributes massively. Today, we export the entertainment. Sometimes we see at Kina Diamonds, but they are exporters. They export. When people buy their songs, it is Tanzanian export. Yeah. So things have changed. The structure of our economy has changed, and we have to start
Honorable
afresh. Yeah.
Zitto, thank you so much for those. But just a quick one. I'm not sure if you responded to the second question, part B, on education system that China had vis-a-vis?
We have Chinese experts here. This guy is a China expert. He will help.
Mfumo wa elimu wa
Yeah.
China.
He will
then
help
and
us,
now.
you know.
Can
And we
you
are sending a lot of
explain
Tanzanians to China these days to Nini. But I think the education system is unique.
unique?
Yeah, it's not like us. Oh, I think also they work so much on the technical side of the education sector. But I'm not an expert on that. So some other people can be able to.
It's not been stipulated in the
explain
book.
more. No. This because there was
So let's
purely,
take questions from this side, and then I have 4 questions from the from our online viewers. We'll take those 4. So let's start with gentleman in blue, gentleman in red, gentleman in white, and then I have 3 people from that side. You also have a question. Is it allowed? Yeah, please. Yes, it's you. Keep it short so we all have the opportunity to ask questions. No, just talk. It's on.
Yeah.
And the question is, what is more we're discussing a lot of big ideas for our economy, but in my opinion, I think don't even have the fundamental right order to grow an economy. The research done a few years ago in 2018, where employers were saying that graduates in Tanzania don't even have the necessary skills required for the workforce. How do you do an economy when you have graduates who don't have the necessary skills for the first century? Where in 2024, electricity is still a problem. How do you run industries when electricity is still a problem? So sometimes I feel that the government is looking at very big ideas, where sometimes I feel even the fundamentals, the small things we need to have covered have not been done right. We're trying to do a lot of big things well, but we're doing a lot of the small things terribly. So my question is, we have the fundamentals necessary for our economy, or are we just now that have an economy where we talk on the books where we're improving the economy? At the end of the day, we don't have the necessary foundation in order to realize that.
Do you want to respond to that question yourself?
Yes.
Do we have what it takes?
So, no.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. So you want Zitto to say that? That's okay. All right. Thank you so much. No, it's a very good question, very vital question. You know, when you speak about attracting FDIs, you have to ensure, and I'm sure Honorable Zitto will say that you've got to ensure that the environment is conducive enough to attract FDIs. But let the guru respond to that. Please proceed. Can you speak up a little bit? Yeah.
My first question is, we know that in Rothschild what we learned, the Rothschilds banking family were a huge opportunity. They knew that sooner or later America would have a challenge. So they fixed that. It will be the next. So the question is, who funded the Chinese manufacturing miracle, given that analysis? And then the other question is, we all know that every time we print money or we inject new money into the economy, what happens next? Speaking of inflation. Now, this is very critical, I think, for a country like ours. Does foreign direct investment have implications on our national inflation? And then the last thing, which I think is more of your analysis, Mheshimiwa Zitto, is that we know the Chinese had a currency freedom when the Japanese left. So the Chinese were able to print as much yuan as they can. But we know, I think for the whole of African countries that, went through colonialism, most of us still don't have the currency freedom. So our currency is being targeted
at large. So I would like to hear your views on that, or rather your analysis. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Those are hands, gentlemen in white, and then we'll come to the CEO. Ladies, where are the ladies in the house? I'm not seeing hands from the ladies, and is this content too heavy for you? Thank you. So please, ladies, up again. All right. I want to see we want to hear more, some beautiful voices. Please. I'm not saying gents, you have ugly voices, but we could always use some hi. Please.
Thank you very much. My name is Frankie Mlapone, a recent graduate of International Relations and Diplomacy at Dr. Salim Ahmed Salim, Center for Foreign Relations. First, I would like to acknowledge the individual who, from his work, made me confident. It's give me a confidence to be here. It's my course instructor, economics, Mr. Igama. Thank you very much. Coming to my question is concerned about the fourth industrial revolution. Yeah, as we all know that the world is going very fast. We all agree. And when you check about the timeline of the book, is about 1978 up to 2005, whereby the most technology is about integrated circuits. But now we are at the time we talk about the microchip, or mostly about the artificial intelligence microchip, and so forth. So I just want to ask Mr. Zitto,
yes,
how can we navigate into this changing world, into this high-speed world of this fourth industrial revolution, since that we, in our current situations, as we all know that we are still behind, lag behind in the technological matters. So I wish to hear from you, and also about the income inequality. Yeah, how can we address the income inequality that can be brought about the technological advancement on this fourth industrial revolution, which is not well amplified. We all used to term as is artificial intelligence, but the fourth industrial revolution is more about artificial intelligence. I can give it about robotics, machine learning, quantum computing, biotechnology, and many other things that is currently involved in this fourth industrial revolution. Absolutely. So thank you very much. That's my question.
We have the mic back to the CEO, the final fourth person, and then I'm going to take my next round of questions. I have 4 questions from the online viewers, so we'll take those 4.
No, just real quick, I need to address the issue of education, because somehow that's my area.
Education. You want to respond to that?
Yes.
Excellent.
One thing is that when you learn what they call education foundation says that the role of education is to make people think. If your education cannot make you think, it's just useless. Now, let's ask ourselves a question. Does our education system make us think? The exam systems, whatever it is, does it make us think, or it makes us remember things? Now, the thinking portion brings about problem-solving skills. Problem-solving skills make you a scientific person who asks questions and come out with what? With solutions. Now, that's where we are left behind. Education that makes us think. Number 2, to finalize, so that I can give the mic back to others. Mheshimiwa Zitto, I was reading page 27 and 28 of the book. It talks about the determinants of FDI in China. It listed a bunch of those. And I was looking at that, I'm like, some of them we have them already, because it talks about cheap labor, which we have already. Our labor is real cheap. It talks about the political stability. We think we have, except those who are looking for the new constitution.
That is off record, eh?
Off record. But then it talks about the highly skilled human capital. Now that takes us back to what? The education system. Now, this is one of the areas that Chinese people took an advantage of. I was looking today, the entire world, they are talking about data analysis, data management. Do we really focus our education into that? We are still learning history and whatever. I don't say we should not, but what you're saying is we need to put more emphasis on the things that matter the most. But he talks about the other thing they say here is bargaining power. Are we good at negotiating? Or we are left somewhere also in negotiating? Maybe when these direct investments come in, we do not negotiate properly. Do we negotiate right? But the last one, let me ask Mheshimiwa Zitto Kabwe, how has protectionism affected us? Overprotecting our local businesses, then making hard for others to come and invest in our place. Maybe that's the last question. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Interesting questions, wonderful questions. They do. Just bring the mic back to Honorable Zitto. Those questions, CEO, I must say that they really make us think. So thanks to you. You've really mastered the education bit. Honorable Zitto, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. I'll not answer based on how, or not respond, not answering, we're discussing, based on how the issues were raised. I'll start with the last on the determinants, as you mentioned them. And this one on high-skilled human capital. In late 70s, immediately after the reform started in China, the Chinese government took their students to the West. A number, hundreds, thousands of young Chinese were taken to the West to learn the new technology, so that they come and they put them with their own knowledge and everything and transform their of education at the front line. Whatever that, of course, it's easier for a single party government to do that, because there will be no debate, no discussion, So even when you talk about the issue of the political stability, the most important question we have to ask ourselves is, have we really, apart from issue of peace, have we really gotten the dividend of the stability that we have been enjoying since we got independence? Have we really? Because as you can see, China really benefited from it. The protectionism is a big debate, because there are some advantages if you protect the infants to grow and then let them compete. And that's why on this issue, we always have a debate with people who discuss about privatization. China did privatization as well. But the privatization in China was not about selling the parastatals, but it was about allowing the private capital to create the same companies that the parastatals were doing and let them compete. So those which managed to sustain, to do the work, they continued. And today, some of our roads here are built by state roads companies in China. They're state companies, 100%. They're one of the biggest energy company in the world is a state company in China, because they were allowed to compete, and they competed. Those who were inefficient died. And that was the difference between our privatization and the Chinese privatization. translated to privatization is selling. So as a result, deindustrialization happened. So in the same way with the protectionism, we protect, but we keep protecting. We don't have time to say, now stop. We have protected enough. If you haven't grown, then you will not grow anymore. So these are the things that really have to continue to be under discussion. I've taken note about the issue of the fourth industrial revolution and our preparedness and everything. This is open to debate. I don't have an answer that because we really have to open our minds, be matured enough to address things the way they are, and have solutions. The problem with Tanzania and us Tanzanians, we're too emotional. We don't discuss things based on evidence. Even if the evidence shows otherwise, because we believe in something, we just become emotional, and we have to change. If we really want to move forward, we have to be driven by evidence, data. If evidence says, yes, this is the way to go, this works, it works. But if we just continue talk, and nothing will happen.
Maybe
we have
maybe to add up to that, as it's an open debate. One of my favorite quotations is, "The future is there for those who prepare for it." We're on the fourth industrial revolution. The VP is reading on AI. He's preparing himself for the future. You might think he's an old man. He's preparing himself for the future. So being on the fourth industrial revolution, where we are as a country, again, the future is there for those who prepare for it. So let's move on to the next.
The currency freedom. I think many African countries, especially those who were colonized by the British, had their currency freedom. They can do whatever they want with their monetary policy. We have a problem with African countries that were colonized by the French, because they don't have that freedom. They have all their reserve in Paris, and the French central bank can manipulate whatever they want. And you can't, it's one of the shameful things we still have in Africa, that 14 African countries do not have the freedom on monetary policy. But we have freedom on monetary policy. China has, and that's why you see all the time during elections in America, China is being accused of currency manipulation, because they play with their currency in order to promote their exports. They want to make their exports cheaper and imports expensive, so that they export more in order for them to have more foreign reserve. Our economies are very small, and I think Mzee spoke about it as well. So China has that power, and also it comes up again with 1 billion people as a market. You'll definitely be able to say, no, I don't want this, and people come banging to ask. Our economies are very small. We expected that regional economic integration would increase our ability to have bigger economies. But as you know, protectionism, nationalistic tendencies. We have a customs union that was enacted in 2005. Up to now, the protocol is not fully implemented. Today, we are supposed to have a common market that somebody should be able to sell whatever from Jinja to Lindi, but we still have trade barriers, you know. So it is we are shooting ourselves because we have agreed on this thing. Now we have the continental free trade area. Are we really going to implement it? Because these are the things that could give us more bargaining power, because people will know, I'm going to invest in Tanzania, but my market is the whole SADC. My market is the whole East Africa. My market is the whole of Africa. But it's not the case. And we keep repeating these kind of mistakes over and over again. The development is not there, and we still continue to be the same. So we really have to address that. The issue of the African economic integration, the African common market, is key because it will give us more power, because we'll be talking about these big market, and whoever comes to invest will know that I'm going there, I'll have these benefits. If they say no, I will not have these benefits. And that's what it happened in China. To Tom, yeah, graduates don't have necessary
There's a
skills.
first question to that before
Yeah.
you move on. Who funded Chinese manufacturing miracle?
If you read this book, you'll see the FDI. And many people would think that most of the foreign investors to China were from the West. No, most of them were from the same region, especially the Japanese. Japanese were number one. Yeah, so the US came later. EU also came up, especially Germany, because of the low cost of labor. Yeah, so yeah.
Right.
The debate issues of education, we're discussing them a lot. And everybody agrees that our education system is not suitable for the current level of development and the future. But are we fixing it? We are talking. We are not fixing it. I know there is a new policy, the new education policy, but also we had the new education policy in 2014. It was not implemented. I hope this one will be implemented. And this has been our problem all the time. And it comes to the same issue of electricity problem. Why do we have the electricity problem now? Why do we have load shedding now in 2024? We had a power system master plan, the one that was reviewed, I think, in 2013, 2012, 2013. And our direction was electricity produced by natural gas. We went to China, we borrowed $1.2 billion to build a pipeline in order to enable that. We built the pipeline. Currently, only 6% of that pipeline is being used. 6%. Had we implemented that, we would have surplus. There is, I think most of you know Kinyerezi. There is a complex there that was to produce now 800 megawatts. It's producing less than 300 megawatts, if I remember well. I can be corrected on that. We're supposed to have more than 350 megawatts in Kilwa from the pipeline. It's zero. We are supposed to have 300 megawatts from Tuara. Now it's zero. We always change plans without taking stock of the implications. So all these problems we're having now, as I said before, we chose to be poor. We don't have anyone to blame.
Yeah.
We should not have electricity problem now because we had solutions. And
Honorable Zitto Kabwe, allow me to intervene on your response and remain guided. This Sunday, this Sunday or Saturday, the 25th. 25th is Sunday. Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan was going to launch the Julius Nyerere power plant. The capacity of that, when it's completed, is 2,100.
And when is it going to be completed?
Megawatt.
When is it going to be?
It's already completed. That's why we were going to launch it this Sunday.
And this is a problem.
Unfortunately,
just a moment. I want to intervene there.
Yeah.
And this is our biggest problem.
Yes.
We don't tell the truth. The full capacity of the dam is 2,000 plus megawatts.
2,115.
But what is going to come to the grid now is just 200 plus megawatts.
315.
And it will take so many years to come to have a complete, to have all.
Yes.
And we will never have all because of the climate change. We will not. Not. We had a solution. natural gas was the solution.
Hmm.
We spent money. We are paying now. We are paying that debt from China. We are paying while we're using only 6%.
Okay. So let's give him a big round of applause. Excellent discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take these questions from the online viewers. They are equally participating, except they couldn't be with us. Honorable Zitto, the approach to these questions will be one-on-one between you and me. So just first question, you respond. Second, there are quite a number of questions. And then I will give, who is Amza, Hussein Amza? Excellent. I'll have your input and Pascal Sule. Just prepare 1 or 2 minutes notes to just say something. Msajili Wazina, do you want to say a word? Good. Zitto, first question, and I'm happy for the first time I have a woman asking a question online. Rahma Salum, thank you for being with us. She says there's a philosophy in Japan. The Japanese call it kinetugi. For example, if you break a plate, you do not throw it away. Instead, you assemble it using gold. This is used in the economy too. So what is our philosophy in Tanzania, which can guide us if we do not have to import, but to manufacture on our own?
In Tanzania, if you break something, you just throw it away.
Throw it away.
You buy something else.
Okay.
And, you know, we do that.
Yeah.
We don't, we hatukarabati. Hata meza ikivunjika utaiacha tu hapo mpaka inakwisha kabisa. Ule maintenance hatuna kabisa. So matokeo yake najikuta resources zinapotea tu.
Okay.
So maybe the next generation maybe will learn about that. So we don't have.
All right. So Benedict Mlewa asks, how does FDI in China promote private sector's participation in investment capital, management skills, and technology? And maybe Tanzania can copy the strategy. So how does FDI in China promote engagement and participation?
Yeah, that's what the book talks about when they say the FDI into China between 1978 and 2002 helped the domestic private sector growth.
Okay.
It helped even these village enterprises, because Kenya has these small scale industries at the village level that have grown even bigger and become multinationals now. Yeah.
The CEO of TPSF had told me he was going to join us. Is he here? Raphael? He's not. Next question from our online viewers. What is the best business and political approach the government can employ so as to improve our economy as Tanzania? What is the best business and political approach that the government can employ so as to improve our economy in Tanzania?
That's a very last question. How do I respond to that? Maybe the Msajili Hazina will help me respond.
What business approach should we deploy?
I think we just have to have one, the environment, the enabling environment in terms of the regulations, the laws, and not changing laws every now and then, the stability, the fiscal stability, so that people know when they get into the business, they know that this will not change tomorrow. And also the fundamentals, making sure that we produce enough skills labor. And as everyone agrees here, that our labor force is very low skilled. And you said that it is cheap. I think they say, investors are saying we are low skilled and expensive. Investors are not saying that we are cheap. Yeah. So I think those are some of the things that have to be.
Yes. Then Shaidu acknowledges for the summary, and I believe it's a he, Shaidu, says, what were the key drivers for cheap labor that attracted FDI in China?
First of all, although China was a socialist country, they did not allow trade unions.
So no bargain.
Trade unions were not free at all. No bargain. So people were paid very, very, very low, and they had to. But also, there was this I don't call it culture. In China, laborers come from rural areas, come to urban work, and then go back to rural areas. It's like, yeah, migrant labor. So, and they're put in a very bad condition sometimes. Now it's better. The standards are improving. When I was reading about that, I really thought about the manamba time, you know. Sisi watu wakigoma ndio tunachukuliwa kwa manamba huko kwenye mashamba ya mkonge wapi. So it was like that, the migrant labor. So that helped China to have the cheap labor.
Godwin and Juru, thank you so much for following the discussion. He has quite a good number of questions, but to start, how would you compare the contribution of poor policy choices by African countries from the 60s to that of the global market and economic order? How would you compare the contribution of poor policy choices by African countries from the 60s to that of the global markets and economic order?
Difficult question, but it's not general that we had poor policy choices in 60s. I think we did not sustain. Yeah, we did not sustain. We, as I said before, we formulate a policy, we implement it. The middle of the way, we dump it, we start a new thing. Middle of the way, we dump it, we start a new thing. And we have continued like that forever. It's like our legacy now. You don't challenge it, improve it, and move on with that. So that we change when really it doesn't work. And I think that has been our biggest problem.
Excellent. So, Honorable Zitto, how did China regulate the FDI? And what are the lessons for African countries, especially Tanzania, regulations of FDI?
They had a big bargain. For example, the expropriation we're talking about was not allowed. So the money was being pumped back to the economy. But by the time we opened up for foreign direct investments, we were at a very, very weak level of negotiation because most of our investment policies were not formulated by our own desire. They are formulated through the structural adjustment programs by the IMF and the World Bank. So they prescribed what to do. And some of the mistakes we talked that we made mistakes. Some of the mistakes were not our mistakes. Some of the mistakes were the mistakes from the Bretton Woods institution. The structural adjustments program really had huge impact because sometimes the fiscal policy come from Washington and go to parliament and being implemented. And later you find that we made a mistake. So China had an advantage of developing themselves. There was nobody telling them, do this, formulate this policy. They were doing on their own. And for us, it was like pumped into us. And the problem we have up to now is we haven't learned out of that because we should be able to learn. The mistakes we did, there was an example given by one of the contributor about these transfer pricing. Actually, that's one of the things that made me go to do my second master's in Germany, because I went to this Bomani commission on mining, and I found out that we were making a lot of mistakes, and we had so little knowledge about the investment, the international taxation system, to the extent that when we say that tunaibiwa, tulikuwa tunaibiwa kihalali, because the system was set in such a way that tax avoidance is not, lawyers are here, tax avoidance is not a crime. You know, they just do tax planning and most of the money remains where they are. So I found out with others in the committee that mining companies that came to Tanzania in early 90s were using something called, lawyers will understand, thin capitalization. Thin capitalization. They were not putting equity. They were using loans, and loans were from sister companies. at the very high interest rate. And when you are taxing, you take the loan out first, and then what remains you're taxing. So by the time TRA was preparing the invoices for tax, there was nothing to tax because the companies had already paid themselves all this money camouflaged as paying back the loans. One mining company had a debt equity ratio of 12 million%. That they put nothing. And if we did not stop it, that company would mine up to 2032 without paying a single cent as corporate tax. Wow. And it was overwhelming. I went to study international taxation just because of that. Wow. And when I came back, we did the changes of 2011, 2012. 2011, I put a private member's bill in parliament, changed the thin capitalization rule to maintain and be very strict that whoever comes to invest, 70% of the, at least 30% of the investments must be equity and 70% loan, so that we manage that. And when I presented the bill, nobody understood me. It was like, what is this? Nobody understood me. But I found that I made a mistake. I did not prepare my colleagues. So I withdrew. Next year, 2012, I started at the committee level, explaining to them, this is what I've learned in Germany in the class. They say this, and this is what they do. So this is how they steal money from us. We have to change this law. And I also used some experienced people in parliament, like Mr. Chenge, who formulated those laws, but also he knew that those laws were not right. And he helped. Yeah, he helped me. And I had to brief Anna Makinda, the speaker, about the implications. So when I went the second time to present the bill, the whole parliament approved it, because I had done so now we don't have that problem of the thin capitalization. And so I think we need to just keep, we just have to keep learning, relearning, because we'll continue making mistakes. Let us not repeat the mistakes. Let us make new mistakes instead of
advance further.
Oh, yeah.
Few more questions, Zitto, Honorable Zitto. One, for the case of extractive industries, is it possible to corporatize the sector through a series of mining SOEs to avoid interferences from politics, in the sense of reducing politics interferences, for example, Gazprom or Aramco in Russia and Saudi, respectively?
Yeah, even yesterday somebody was telling me about having states mining directly in order and make them more corporate. Let's start with TANESCO. Let's give TANESCO a chance to operate as corporate. That's it.
You have little trust in TANESCO.
I love TANESCO, actually, you know.
I
really love TANESCO because I used to see TANESCO as the big thing. If TANESCO is given freedom to operate commercially, but the people will ask you, is electricity huduma or biashara? And then the moment you say it's huduma, you're out, because don't. It has to be. But I think let's make a trial. Let's start with TANESCO. Let them operate as a commercial entity. And if we care about the people at the lower level, in order to be able to have access to electricity, let's strengthen REA and REA to cater for the lower level, and TANESCO to be commercial.
In 1978, President of China, Hong Deng Xiaoping, had said, "A cat is a cat, even if it's white or black. They're all cats." That is why he has been promoting different activities in order to increase the economic GDP of China. Question is, how can Tanzania help local people to have the ability to create a market for their own products they produce? And how does FDI influence local people to have the ability to save money?
Eng was a pragmatist. So, and he's the one who brought this habit of experimenting. And the left don't agree with him on that statement, because it was like a statement away from the socialist policies. He qualified it by calling socialism with Chinese characteristics, and that has been taken over by other leaders going forward. I think pragmatism works, but it has to be underlined by a principle.
Okay.
If you don't have a principle, then it will be easier for you not to cater for the majority, so long as you think this will bring this benefit or that benefit. So you have to be pragmatist. I am a pragmatist person, but there are underlying principles that you should not go beyond. Yeah.
Moving on, 2 more to go. Foreign aid, can it complement auditor FDI?
Foreign aid and FDI play the same role on supplementing the domestic savings. As if you remember, I explained about the low levels of savings. So as a result, you need FDI in order to bridge the gap. Foreign aid play the same role, but a lot of studies have been done, and foreign aid hasn't really been helpful, especially in Africa, because it comes with a lot of conditionalities.
Yeah.
And there are studies that have shown that in every 10 or every $1 that came in as a foreign aid, 70 cents went back to the same country that brought it in. So more and more examination has to be done on foreign aid. But I think foreign aid has been really, really controversial, and the studies have shown the lack of. They don't see the evidence of foreign aid helping the countries to develop.
Awesome. Final one from Dr. Alfred Sabahene, Coordinator, Unit for the Study of Corruption, St. John's University in Dodoma. Thank you for being with us virtually. He says, I would like to hear your response on the proposal that let us continue to do everything we can to improve our economy, but without addressing the thorny issue of corruption. It's understandable coming from his department, that cancer, which seems to not go away from amongst Wananchi, but mostly among those entrusted in position of authority, are galloping our resources and continue to acquire illicit benefits and abuse of power for their personal gain. What is your position?
In order to address corruption, we have to deal with the accountability system. There is no country without corruption. The issue is, how do we deal with it? Are our systems robust enough to detect and take action? And this is our biggest problem. China, there are huge corruption scandals in China, massive. But it is known if you are arrested and the actions to be taken. So it's your choice, be corrupt or not. And we have seen high-flying political figures in China being jailed for corruption up to now. There are a lot of reports about the political class in China who of their families have been found with a lot of money in overseas, and actions have been taken. One of the thing given to the current president of China is the fight on corruption. So even here, it's about the system. How do you put accountability mechanism such that those with the responsibilities, those with access to rent, will be able not to be corrupt? How do you incentivize the civil service as well? So to me, you only fight corruption by having strong accountability systems, institutions of accountability. Parliament must be very, very robust. Parliamentary committees, especially the oversight committees, the institutions like anti-corruption bureaus and other law enforcement organs, the courts. If you don't strengthen them, if you don't let the accountability institutions do their work in a very autonomous way, you'll not be able to fight corruption. We'll just continue to talk about corruption.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to Honorable Zitto Kabwe. Thank you so much. It is unfortunate, and you all have to agree with me, that you would not have Zitto, Honorable Zitto, you would not have such a content and time be sufficient. Do we all agree? So thanks to all those who had their hands up, because I'll not give you the opportunity to speak, except for at least a female voice. Yeah. Two female voices, and then I have the two gentlemen, and then I'll have the CEO wrap up and close. So just 1 minute. Keyo.
Nataka niulize, kuna msemo China wanaita wanawake leftover women in China, na ni contributor wakubwa sana. Tunaona ni investors, tunaona in terms of leadership, management wanafanya vizuri. Swali langu linakuja, unahisi sisi wanawake wa Kitanzania tunafeli wapi kuadapt? Kwa sababu ukiona safari nyingi sana za wanawake kwenda China kuleta biashara ni kubwa sana. Lakini ukiangalia tu tathmini kidogo, hatuna mwanamke wa Kitanzania ambaye ni big investor au ni CEO ambaye ana run kampuni kubwa ama manufacturer. Kutokana na utafiti ambao ulifanya kitabu, hii leftover ya Chinese women na sisi wa Tanzania tunaenda sana kule, ni wapi tunakosea, hatujaweza kuadapt hiyo?
Asante sana. Another final female voice before I bring the two gents. And are you with us? Sogea karibu.
Thank you, Honorable Zitto, for a very insightful book review. The nuggets are really good, and thank you for challenging me on the empirical data. I think I will take a learning. My question is, what would we do differently going forward on our physical policies so that we ensure the inflows of the FDIs will at least help us to attain the double-digit economy that we're looking at? What are the three fiscal policies that you think these are the things that we need to change so that we can at least have that projection going forward? Thank you.
Asante sana. Honorable, mambo ujibu hao ni maswali ya mwisho kabisa. We have 1 minute each from you, and then George will come to invite the CEO to wrap up.
Haumhesabu CEO wa NMB kama...
Is she here? KO, that's question to you.
Waka amesema kwamba hamna wanawake CEOs wa big companies au labda haumhesabu Ruth Zaipuna kama big
Ajiriwa yule.
Okay. Nataka ajiajiri mwenyewe. Sawa. Nadhani sio tu kwenye biashara, vile vile kwenye siasa na mfumo wetu wa kijamii kwa ujumla, bado mfumo dume uko entrenched sana Tanzania. Kwa hiyo kuweza kuaddress na kuwa na wanawake wafanyabiashara wakubwa wakimiliki biashara zao, maana yake ni kwamba tunapaswa kushughulika na mfumo wetu mzima kwa ujumla wake. Sababu mfumo wetu umekaa kwa namna ambayo unamkandamiza mwanamke. Na hata mwanamke awe ni mkubwa kiasi gani na mamlaka kiasi gani, bado tunamtazama ni mwanamke tu.
Yeah.
Tujaweza kubadilisha muonekano wetu wa masuala ya kijinsia kwa namna ambayo tunatazamana, badala yake tunatazamana hivyo kwa jinsi zetu. Kwa hiyo mimi nadhani swala hili sio swala la wanawake kwenye uchumi tu, ni swala la ujumla. Ni just recently ndio tumeweza kuwa na sheria ambayo mwanamke anaweza kumiliki ardhi. Ilikuwa ni ngumu sana hata kwenye makabila yetu, na kuna watu wamepambana kwa muda mrefu sana kuhakikisha kwamba hiyo haki ya kumiliki ardhi inakuwa ni sawa sawa kwa wote. Bado tunapambana. Tazameni wanawake ambao wanakuwa wamefiwa na waume zao, namna ambavyo ndugu wanaume wanapovamia mali na kama mali zipo na kuzichukua all over. Lakini hiyo ni kwa sababu ya hiyo utamaduni wetu kwamba mfumo dume uko entrenched sana. Kwa njia pekee au moja ya njia ya kuweza kupambana na hilo kwanza ni kuvunja mfumo dume, na it has to start now from ourselves na the next generation ambayo inakuja. Tuvunje bila kuathiri mila zetu, lakini tuvunje mfumo dume, kwa sababu mila zenyewe hizo na desturi zimekuwa set na wanaume. Kwa vyote vile lazima zitusaidie, zitulinde zaidi sisi wanaume. Kwa hiyo lazima tuwe na an open discussion about the whole in the country ku address kama hivi ambavyo umevieleza. What will you do? Three things. Swali gumu. Moja, kwanza stability. Nimesema hapa kwamba tukiwa na sheria basi tuiache, tusibadilike, sababu hilo ndo tatizo letu kubwa sana, na ndio linalolalamikiwa. Ni moja ya jambo ambalo linalalamikiwa sana na investors wengi kwamba tunabadilika sana. Yani leo sheria inatungwa, kesho inabadilishwa hivyo. Hatu stay on the course mpaka jambo liweze kuleta matokeo ambayo yanakuwa. Hiyo ni one of the thing about I think we should change. Pili, we have spoken here, ni lazima tufanye kwa makusudi kabisa swala zima la kubadilisha mfumo wetu wa elimu, ili mfumo wetu wa elimu uweze kuendana na nisa. That means we have to fiscally we have to put a lot of financial resources kwenye hilo eneo. Na tatu, nadhani ni muhimu sana ku embrace the regional integration na tuwe the lead, na tusiwe sisi ndo ambao tunaongoza kuvuta miguu katika utekelezaji wa sera za utangamano, whether ni East Africa au ni continental or SADC or whatever. So I think those are the three areas I think we should really do and focus kuhakikisha kwamba nakwenda vizuri. Nadhani nimeamaliza yote.
Excellent. A round of applause. Asante sana. Naomba sasa niwape Hussein Hamza pamoja na Pascal Sule 1 minute of fame to just say a quick.
Sawa, asante.
Alafu tu nimkaribishe George with sasa kwa mtaka kwa wale ambao mna individualize. I believe
time.
Okay, thank you. Just a quick comment from the theoretical perspective. One among the theories of development is called the dependent development. Now, this theory assumes that for a state, sub-Saharan countries, they can actually develop from their dependence. And wanaweza kutumia utegemezi wao kuendelea with a single condition, that there has to be a very strong state. Kuwe na dola imara, a state which has bargaining power, kama alivyosema CEO, to safeguard the interest of the local. Lakini pia a state which is committed to the industrialization, kama to the development, for example, industrialization. So for a state to develop, it has to have bargaining power, a very strong state to have bargaining power, but also committed to the development. But also addressing the question, does FDI matters? Yes, FDI matters if there is a strong state, but also it might not matter, but matters to who? It might not matter to host countries if not properly used or not properly managed or controlled by the state. Kwa mfano, it might have effects not just to the economy, but also social issues of human rights violations. Hizi investment nyingi zinazoendelea kwenye sub-Saharan countries zimekuwa na hizo human rights violation, issues of environment. So FDI might matter to the host countries if properly managed and controlled by the powerful au dola iliyo imara.
Asante sana. A round of applause. Thank you very much. And a final input.
Thank you very much. Zitto, first of all, thank you for your ample analysis. I'm wondering why are you not in the government? Mashanga. You are very knowledgeable. Unafahamu haya mambo vizuri sana. Okay, My comments nyingi sana that nitaacha kwa sababu most of the issues have been addressed through discussions. Watu wameuliza maswali na we have addressed well. Vizuri sana, asante sana. Lakini one thing naweza I can make a comment. FDI China na sasa of course lazima tuangalie the relevance yake katika African continent, especially our country Tanzania. There is a growing body of literature that suggests kwamba FDI is only possible in the countries that, of course, my colleague Hussein amezungumza kwamba nchi ambazo zinakuwa zinaongozwa na zina mfumo ile tunachosema developmental state. Na wao kwenye analysis yako umezungumza mara nyingi kuna vitu ambavyo tunaviacha, na hii itaunganisha sambamba na manake what kind of political system ambayo tunahitaji kuwa nayo. Literature zina suggest na some experts wana suggest kwamba tunahitaji kuwa na tunaitwa developmental state ambayo itakuwa strong katika kuoversee na kuimplement policies ambazo zitakuwa wamekubaliana nazo. Umetoa mfano mzuri sana kuhusu gas. Na mimi nafuatilia sana masuala ya siasa za Tanzania. 2012, 2013 hata 2015 tulipitisha sheria ambayo tulikuwa tunasema kwamba sasa gesi ni mwarobaini. Lakini baada ya 2015 tumeenda kwenye nani nyingine. Swali langu kwako Mheshimiwa Zitto, do you think we need tuachane na hizi habari ya mtu kuongoza kwa miaka 5, 5 years term, anakuja mwingine kabla hajatimiza na acha? Do you think we need labda mfumo mpya wa kisiasa ambao mtu atakata at least 30 years? Yes. Ninajua kwa mfano hiyo China tunaizungumzia. China ambayo tunaizungumzia leo kama imefanikiwa, it's because wana strong leadership ambayo mtu anakaa madarakani kwa muda kidogo ili aweze kuoversee na kuimplement hizo vitu vilivyokubaliana. Tuna utamaduni wa Kiafrika, baada ya miaka 5 mtu mwingine anakuja anaondoka na ana abandon yale ambayo yamekuwa yamekipitishwa. Do you think we need such kind of system? Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Please pass the mic. Zitto for 1 minute.
It can't be 1 minute.
React.
It can't be 1 minute.
It has to be 1 minute.
Niongeze kidogo. Tukae kidogo hii. Sababu this is the area ambayo ina a lot of debates. Na a lot of scholars have written about this. Now, they've been given examples, even in Africa, of Ethiopia, but Ethiopia MLS, ambayo was a developmental state. They give examples of Rwanda as well. Lakini, the biggest challenge we have ni kwamba those developmental states mara nyingi zinakosa demokrasia, na mara nyingi kunakuwa na the same. Umesema human rights abuses on the investor side, you find them on the state against people. Sasa unachora mstari wapi? Where do you draw the line? We can have an example of Singapore. Singapore did not end multi-party democracy, and it had that developmental state. Malaysia did not end multi-party democracy, lakini it had that, but also to them, there was one party governing for all those years. China, they don't stay, of course, since 1980. They don't stay for more than 10 years. Huyu ndo amekuja kuvunja utaratibu sasa hivi, Jinping. But China had the 10-year time, but the policies being implemented are not the policies of one individual. They're the policies of the governing party. Huku kwetu chama kinachotawala kile miaka yote, lakini wanapobadilika watu wanakuja na sera zao. Tukadhani labda with the vision inaweza ikasaidia kwamba hata kikibadilika chama, the vision is there, you come and implement. But in reality, yes, I'm a leader of a political party. We don't subscribe to the vision. We feel the vision is not ours. We feel the vision ni ya chama tawala, ambalo nalo hili ni tatizo ambalo we have to address. We should be able to separate between nchi na serikali. Hulka yetu tunavichanganya. Yani tunaona serikali ni nchi na nchi ni serikali. Kwa hiyo hata ukiudhiwa kidogo Taifa Stars inacheza unaichukia. Lakini Taifa Stars has nothing to do with the government. It is your team. It's the same way kwenye policies. This existing vision is not treated as a national vision. And we have to address this problem kwenye the new vision ambayo tunaitengeneza. Ili tuweze mtu yoyote anaingia madarakani kwa chama kile kilichokuwepo au chama kingine, anakuta the blueprint is there. Mtofautiane on how to implement that. Sisi bado that political maturity bado tujaweza kuwa nayo. We are so immature in politics. Kama kuna sekta ya nchi hii ambayo we are so immature ni siasa. And it is stressful and boring at times. Kwa sababu the level ya kusema kwamba sasa hii ni fact, hii ni evidence, we are going with this, haipo. Tutaiangalia in terms of purple, blue, red, green na kadhalika. Sasa na especially for you young people, you have to change this. Tunaweza mimi than what we need more ni developmental mindset ya viongozi na policymakers. Kama hatuna developmental mindset, hata ukiwa na developmental state, watu wataitumia developmental state for their own benefit na hawataitumia for the benefit of the majority. Should we continue with the same kind of political system? This should be a debate. Is this political system delivering? We have been into multi-party democracy for 30 years now. Is it delivering? Are we getting the best out of it? How, because it is what we were given by the fathers of democracy, then we go. I think we have to think in a very objective way na kutazama kwamba mfumo wa siasa tulionao kama ni mfumo ambao unatupa matokeo tunayoyataka in building up. Vinginevyo tutapiga mark time. Tujitazame the last 30 years ya multi-party democracy, tutazame the 30 years ya single party democracy, because sasa hivi ni kama zimegawanyika half, na tujipime at what point in time we grew faster, the development ya watu ilienda vizuri, the national cohesion iliimarika, at what point. Changamoto yetu, we are not a nation ya debate. Sisi hatuna mijadala. Sisi hata tukiongea tunazomeana, hatuongei. Tukiwa taifa la mijadala, tutapata majawabu yetu. Hatujabahatika. Over the last 30 years, hatujabahatika kwa taifa la mijadala. And we have to change, or else matokeo yake, consequences zake zinafahamika. Tuendelee hivi.
Mheshimiwa Zitto Kabwe, a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I think I'm obliged to give a closing remark. Kuna vitu ambavyo duniani havitakuja kupewa frontlines, lakini ukiangalia nchi kama Singapore ziliweza kuwa na miracle. Not because of leadership na kila kitu, of course it plays a paramount significance kwenye kuleta maendeleo, and you emphasized on it, Honorable Zitto Kabwe. Lakini kiongozi wao aliwaambia kitu kimoja, jamani, whatever we do, let's do a lot of savings. And they did. Kwa hiyo nchi ikawa ina pesa za kutosha kuendeleza nchi yao. 2009 nikiwa nafanya kazi na KCB Bank, only 14% ya Watanzania ndio walikuwa na account. 14%. Zilivyoanza kushamiri masuala ya M-Pesa na kila kitu na Tigo Pesa na nini, that number has declined. Kwa watu wengi wamefunga accounts sasa hivi because they transact. Sasa kwa mifumo ya namna hii, nchi haiwezi kuwa na fedha za kutosha kuendesha nchi. Tuendelea kukopa na kukopa na kukopa kuendesha nchi. So the miracle, tuendelee kujiuliza, nilijifunza kutoka Uingereza kwamba unapoamka kila siku asubuhi, in whatever you do, be it kwenye ajira, be it umejiajiri, be it unafanya familia na kila kitu, how can I be better today and do better today than yesterday? Then nchi itaenda, familia itaenda, wewe utaenda. How can I be better than yesterday? How can I be better than what I did yesterday for my company, for my organization, for my country? Then tutaenda. Without further ado, niwashukuru sana for all your attention. Again, sorry, I've kept seeing hands left, right, and center, but a sense of time, tuendelee to bilateralize hapa na pale, lakini allow me to now to pass the mic over to George, ili tuweze kumalizia. Karibu, George.
Let me invite the CEO to offer a few closing remarks. Then I have a few announcements. I don't think I need to say anymore. It's enough. Caroline, come here, Caroline. You know, this library is under the Department of Research and Policy, and here is the head, so she should say something and say bye to you instead of the CEO. And she's doing her PhD, by the way, supported by the institute. So,
is this on FDI?
No. It's on gender. Okay, so thank you, CEO, for the opportunity. Nashukuru sana wote kwa kuja. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. You pulled a big number. Hatujawahi pata tena. Not tena, ngoja ni start. Hatujawahi kupata such a good number in terms of the outcome. Kwa maana watu waliofika hapa, lakini pia watu online. So we hope when next time we give you a call, you'll say yes. Na sisi tutashukuru sana. Naomba tumpigie tena makofi Mheshimiwa. Thank you so much, Austin, Moderator. You've all been available or with us. Nashukuru sana. We hope next time, month, tukitangaza tena, tutakuwa na big number or twice as much. Kwa itabidi tuwe tuna tent nje kwa ajili ya accommodate. Nashukuru sana.
thank you, Carol. Today, I'm happy to announce we have 100% ownership. Mheshimiwa Zitto is a member of the Resource Center. Austin Makani, the moderator, is also a member of the Resource Center. Even the guy providing coffee outside, is also a member of the Resource Center. Yeah. So today we have a good 100% ownership.
Right.
So thank you very much. Before I proceed, please allow me to a new team member. This is Mr. Wilson. He joined us in December. Okay. Yeah, so this is the guy running the Human Resource Center.
Okay.
Yeah, so if any of you was in the Human Resource Center, this is the guy in charge. Yes. Yes. And then before, someone has dropped their keys. Oh,
you dropped them and you picked them.
The CEO drives himself, so those are his keys. Please, I appeal to you to join our growing community. We have 2 branches of resource centers. There's the main branch, but also we have another branch in Dodoma. The fee is really next to nothing in relation to the benefits you'll be enjoying from this place. So please, I appeal to all of you to join our membership. We have registration forms outside there. So anyone who is interested, please come and fill in the registration forms. After this, please, let's continue this discussion outside over coffee, because I know we can't finish this discussion here. So please.
The explanations about registering, joining.
The attachments there. Yeah, so in order to save time, let's just, we have attachments of user guidelines outside there. So you read them as you fill in the forms. Yeah, so karibuni sana, let's discuss this, continue this discussion over coffee outside there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Sasa.
It's good.
Uongozi is a Swahili word meaning leadership. Uongozi Institute was established in 2010 to support African leaders to attain sustainable development for their nations and the wider continent. We are a leadership development institute established by the government of Tanzania and supported by the government of Finland together with other valued partners. We believe sustainable and equitable development cannot be achieved without sound leadership. We cultivate a distinctly African model of leadership to empower the continent's senior and emerging leaders from both the public and private sector. Our mission is to inspire and equip African leaders to deliver inclusive and sustainable solutions through a holistic approach, which includes designing and delivering training courses relating to leadership and executive management, bringing together key leaders and thinkers to formulate uniquely African solutions to Africa's challenges, and supporting world-class research on leadership across the continent, while also championing knowledge sharing. Our landmark TV series, Meet the Leader, features serving and retired heads of state and international organizations, and the In Focus series offers in-depth insights into the issues driving development across Africa. To further our work as a center of excellence for leadership training, research, and knowledge exchange, the Institute is committed to working together with our global community of partners. Through our work, we have trained senior and emerging leaders from around the continent, hosted policy dialogue events in Tanzania and beyond, and commissioned research studies on leadership. It is essential to us that our team continues to uphold the Institute's values of professionalism, reliability, integrity, respect, and creativity. Uongozi Institute is based in Tanzania with offices in Dar es Salaam and Dodoma. The impact of our work, however, continues to extend beyond the country's borders to support leaders across the continent and to achieve our vision for a prosperous, equitable, and sustainable Africa.